Welcome to the Aggressive Realty Show. My name is Ken Temborski, and this is Orlando Pena. Hi, Orlando.
Thank you. Good morning, Kenny. We're back again here.
A couple months, and
It is.
I wish this weather would change.
Yep. Last 2 weeks it's been raining a lot.
Oh, you know, there's times that it's good, and there's times it's bad. I love showing a house when it rains a lot, because as a buyer, you want to know and see what's going on, especially with the weather like it is. When you have these rains and a lot of rain, you look for certain things. You look for leakage. You look for other problems that could arise. And a lot of times, sometimes the owners don't even know about them. So it's good to go out and look at a house in the rain. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It kind of helps. Have you ever done that?
Yes, especially when you're showing a house, if it is raining, if the basement is wet, it is something that you have to consider because you're not getting any water.
Right.
And also the roof. If you don't see any sign of leaking, so it's good. It means that the roof is good in good condition in the basement.
And rain gutters.
And rain gutters, correct? Yes.
Rain gutters are very important in a house. I've seen a lot of houses that the rain gutters are sagging or filled with stuff, and it causes a backup. It ain't necessarily the roof bad. It has to do with basically a backup.
With the gutter, exactly.
So, and then when the water comes over against the foundation, it leaks in.
It leaks, correct. You're right.
But we're here today. We're going to talk about listing your home. We're going to talk about selling your home. We're going to talk about what's so unbelievable right now is there's still only 515 houses for sale.
That's correct.
And that's from, if you do the circumference of the what's called our flex system, that is from Bloomsburg to Whitehaven to Brandonville and Zions Grove. I mean, we cover 3 counties to Weatherly. I mean, it is enormous. When you look at what we go through, we go, like I said, we go down to Brandonville, we go down to Bloomsburg, we go to Whitehaven, we go out, I mean, everywhere. With only 515 homes on the market, that's unbelievable because normally there's like 1,800 to 2,000. That includes Wilkes-Barre, that includes Shavertown, Dallas, Nanticoke, Plymouth, all them areas. That's not a lot of homes when you really think about it.
So what it means for that, this is the time to start listing your property. This is the seller's time right now because we are shorting inventory on what is called the listings. So if you're thinking to sell, give us a call.
Now's the time. It don't cost nothing to give us a call. We can come out there, we'll give you an idea, on a price. We'll tell you about ballpark where the comps are. You got to understand, comps are done by what's sold in a 6-month period in a 1-mile radius of your home. So what you do is you look at what's sold in the last 6 months.
Yes.
In that time, basically then you break it down by what type of home is it? Is it a ranch? Is it a bi-level? Is it a split level? Then you comp it to the same, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, bathrooms, size of the kitchens, the lot size, the garages. Once you get everything together, you can come up with a per square foot price. And that's what basically is, right? I mean, it's a CMA. It's a comparable market analysis.
Yes. So we just recently list a property on Cyber Street. Can you please tell us about this property that we listed?
No.
That the seller he left.
He was out of town.
Yes.
We ended up having to get somebody to clean it out. We had to get somebody to do when we do the city inspections, which are very important, that we have to do them. It's not only for the city, it's for the safety of the firemen, the safety of the people who got to go in the house. If there's a lot of stuff in the basement, You have to think of them firemen that have to go in there with an air pack and a mask that can't see in that smoke. You got to think of them tripping and falling on immense amount of stuff in the basements. You got to look at the electrical. You got to look at it had a pool outside with a extension cord plugged in right over the filler, over the skimmer.
Yeah.
There are things that you have to do. There's every room, every bedroom, and every floor needs a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector. So you have to make sure you have them in there. You have to make sure GFIs,
Yes, fine.
ground fault receptacles within 6 feet of all water sources. You got to have a receptacle in every wall of the rooms. A lot of your old homes don't have them. We have to put them in. And sometimes you have to run them above the wall because they're plaster or plank. So there's a lot involved in it. So by letting us come in early shows it. I mean, once we get in and see it and we could look at it, we could give you suggestions. We could give you an idea how this costs, that costs. GFI is simple. If there's a lot of them and they're on one circuit, you go to the breaker and you put a breaker in about 65 bucks. If not, you put them in individually. They're 15 to 20 bucks. They're 15 amp and 20 amp GFIs.
Yes, one of the particular things that we do in Aggressive Realty, Mishare, your handyman, he's doing a pre-check inspections. So that means before the city inspector come to the property, he find what is needed in order the inspection to pass.
Right.
So in that way, we're working ahead of time.
Yes.
You know, if it needs some GFI, he will do it. If it needs some smoke carbon, he will install it. If it cleans, we have a crew that clean the basement or the whole property like we did on Cyber Street.
Yes.
So we making it easy to the seller. So if you're not in town, if you move to Miami or any state, we're gonna take care of that.
It's so important to do them inspections. The city is so right by doing them. I mean, even the cracked windows that need to be replaced. We have to do that. So you need some time. And the city's behind right now because of such a good job they're doing in their inspections. So we gotta know early. Once we know early, we can set up the time. Our work starts after your house is listed and under agreement. That's when a house is sold. My name's Ken Temborski. I'm with Aggressive Realty. I'm the owner and broker. Orlando Pena, probably one of the best agents in the area.
Thank you. Give us a call today.
Welcome back to the Aggressive Realty Show. My name's Ken Temborski. This is Orlando Pena. You know, Orlando, one of the hottest things that I'm seeing out there still is double homes. Double homes seem to be the hottest commodity out there. Tell me, what are you seeing?
This is incredible. Like 9 or 10 out of my clients, they're looking for double homes because, Kenny, how is this market? What they looking is live in one side and rent the other. And this one is gonna help to pay the mortgages. So anyone who's have a double house from 1 to 4 units, give us a call. We're gonna sell your property in the same day.
A lot of them are going like that. They're like
going right
hotcakes.
away, yeah.
You know, another thing I've seen is people are living on one side and their families moving next to them. And very smart, because what they're doing is they have a babysitter. They share dinners together. They do a lot of things together as families, which is honestly nice to see too.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see it for a period of time there. It wasn't happening. So it's very important that if you have a double home, if you have a multi-unit home, give us a call. I mean, we have the people, we have a line of people waiting that a lot of times we don't even, soon as we get it, we put it out to agents. Aggressive Realty has 22 agents. 22 agents that are available. Okay, that means that when you call, there's a different agent on the floor every 4 hours. There's a different agent that answers the phone, a different agent. If they're busy, they're going to give it to somebody if they're booked. But if not, they're going to listen to you. They're going to come out and look at it.
Yep.
I mean, interest rates. Let's talk about interest rates. Interest rates are all over right now. What do you see in commercial?
Commercial, I'm looking 9, 10.
And that's commercial. In residential, you're seeing 6.75 to 7, depending on your credit score. Your credit score has to be above 710 in order to get a good rate. When you get down, you could buy a house at a 640. Okay, but you're going to pay a little more in your interest rate. You're also, unless you have 20% down, you're going to pay PMI.
PMI, correct, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Private mortgage insurance. And that's required by the state of Pennsylvania. So it's not like it's really changed. Another thing a lot of people don't understand is what's called, years ago it was by your credit scores how you bought a home. It's not that way no more. About 5 years ago, I guess it was, they changed it. They made it that debt service is half of your reason to buy a home or not get a home. And then the other half is your credit score. Your debt service with all your bills cannot, like you can have a 700 credit score, but if your debt service is usually above 47 or 49%, you can't buy a house. So it's very important to talk about that. Very important to call and get pre-approved. Okay, we have people that we could suggest to you that are very good. I mean, we use several people.
We have like several lenders that are locally, they work locally, and we recommend the client based on their needs. There are lenders that work with the credit score, lower credit score. There are others that are good with conventional. They have,
Right.
we fit the client based on their needs and based on their credit score, their incomes.
Now, you could buy a home, a lot of people are confused. There are multiple loans. There's a conventional loan. That's usually with 20% down, sometimes 15. You have a FHA loan,
FHA.
3.5% down. You can buy a home. You could get a USDA loan,
With zero down payment.
zero and zero in
And
closing.
we can negotiate the seller at 6. So pretty much you can buy the property with zero down payment and it's not gonna cost anything, just the appraiser.
And that goes by your credit score, your debt service, and your income.
And in particular areas like Macaru, Tamaqua, Tresco, Freelance,
The Valley,
the Valley, yes, correct.
which is unbelievable. Also, there is a PHFA loan
Yeah.
that they give you a little bit to help you by taking an online course.
They give you 5% that you can either use for your down payment or for your closing costs.
Wow. I just seen it used to be FNCB has a program right now that they pay most of the closing costs. It's unbelievable what we're seeing. The problem is, again, like I said, what usually you see 800, you'll see between 1,800 and 2,000 houses on the market. We only have 515 right now. It's only 515 homes on the market.
Yeah.
And when you look at this, you got to look at what's going on. Things are happening, and it's a buyer's market, a seller's market right now. I'm sorry, it's a seller's market. Prices are up because of supply and demand. The demand is there, but the supply is low. So you have to look at that. Now's the time to sell your property. If you look at it, like we get into, we'll suggest somebody or three to get people hooked up for their mortgage. Getting pre-approved is the most important thing. Also, it also tells you what you're able to spend or should be able to spend. I tell people never spend everything that they tell you because they're going to give you the highest. You got to live within your means at the same time. I go into homes sometimes and people say, I'll say, oh, did you start moving? And they'll say, no, we could never afford furniture for that room. I mean, it's crazy out there.
It is. That's why we always recommend what you can afford for your mortgages.
Right.
We're never gonna tell you buy this property because your family bought another house more expensive than this one.
We're not going to oversell you.
We never.
But when you look at some of the stuff out there, commercial properties, We'll get into that maybe the third segment here on commercial. How much commercial we're doing.
Incredible. We've been selling bar, auto body, transportation, yeah,
Restaurants,
restaurants.
Vibratech we just sold
We just saw
on
Vibratech,
3rd
yes.
Street. We got another sale going on a very large property in Hazleton. It's crazy out there right now. But like I said, it's very important. Orlando, what do you see? What else are you seeing?
I seen the commercial is another hot commodity in Hessington, in the Hessington area,
The
because
growth.
yeah, it's growing on top of commercials, and like you said, double houses is the hottest market right now.
Or apartments.
Apartment, yes.
I'm Ken Temborski, Orlando Pena. We'll be back to you in a couple minutes. Welcome back to the Aggressive Realty Show. This is Orlando Pena. I'm Ken Temborski, and we're going to talk this time about commercial properties. We're going to talk about what it takes to sell a commercial property. Sometimes it's a lot different. We're going to talk about evictions. We're going to talk about how sometimes you sell a commercial property and you got people that are in them that refuse to get out of them. Orlando, tell me about the last one you sold.
Yeah, we sold a bar restaurant in Mountain Top.
Yes.
Yeah, it was an interesting sale, so we have to go through a lot of process.
What time did we have to go show it? Because we couldn't.
It was incredible. You know what time? 6 a.m. in the morning. That was when the time that we have to show it to our client, because it's a restaurant, it's a business. We don't want anybody know that.
Right, you didn't want to
for
scare
sale,
scare your employees.
Also your clients, But it was a success. So we show it like a couple times. So you were there with the client 6 a.m. in the morning. We show it.
Yeah, I think you slept in them days.
I was taking care of my daughter.
Yeah, but that's what it takes sometimes. We're in the middle right now of selling a very large garage, and several city lots go with it. You get into tanks that are in the ground. You got to make some provisions, and the provisions are either the sellers remove them before and have it checked out. There's called a phase 1 and a phase 2 could take place. The banks could require that. Phase 1 is surface.
Yeah.
They take surface samples, and phase 2 is core drilled. They take a core out of the ground and test it for contamination, gas, or any oils that spilled. A lot of times you don't believe, but even a dry cleaner falls under that. Very, very, very hard to sell because of contamination. We see a lot of this. Tell them about apartments, how hard they are, and what we do with the evictions.
Yeah. So when we have a listing that we're gonna be selling, and there is any tenant that is behind on rent or just giving a hard time to show the property, they don't wanna cooperate with us. So if the tenant is behind on rent, so we hire a constable that we work in the office. We make a letter for 10 days, and within these 10 days, the tenant doesn't move out or doesn't cooperate with us. So we now just proceed what is called landlord-tenant complaint. So we also do it in-house. Aggressive Realty take care of that. You don't have to do that as a seller. So, and then we wait for the notices.
And then you file for possession.
You file for possession with the landlord-tenant complaint, and we wait for the hearings.
Right.
We go for the hearings.
Yes, we represent
the seller.
Which is important, because what happens is you can never go into an apartment without somebody knowing, okay? A landlord can go into a property as if there's smoke or water coming out of it. But you must have also, if you're going to go in to show a property, or a landlord just wants to walk into property, he cannot. He has to give 24 hours notice. That's mandatory. You give a 10-day notice if they're back on their rent, or you got to give a 30-day notice to move out. A lot of times people buy homes or buy an apartment house and they want all the tenants out. And they make that a requirement. It's called the contingency, that people are out. Not the easiest thing to do. Because unfortunately, you might have a tenant that's been there for 10 years and they're great tenants, but you got to give them a 30-day notice to vacate.
Yeah.
And that's mandatory in the state of Pennsylvania. It's 30 days if there's no lease. If there's a lease, you must continue to lease. You have to honor the lease if you buy a rental property. So there's a lot of touchy areas. That's why it's important to call us. We can advise, we can't, we can suggest. That's all we can do legally. We always suggest you talk to your attorney,
Yep.
but we can pretty much point you in a direction.
So how many times do we went to court this week? Last week?
3 times.
3 times. And do we won these 3 times?
Yes.
Yes, we got success on these 3 evictions.
And that's because we do it the right way. We feel very bad for the clients. We do, because I've seen clients that don't want to move. I've seen clients that just can't move. I see, rents in the Hazleton area now are anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500, $1,600 for a 2-bedroom unit.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
It's very high, yeah.
And it's hard to find. I think there's only 2 or 3 apartments right now that's actually available.
Yeah. Yeah, because if they're paying a rent for $900, $800, and when they have to move and they stop looking outside, the rent is $1,500, $1,200, it's a little hard for them.
Very hard for
Yeah,
them.
very hard.
And it hurts when we have to sit and talk to them. Yeah. But it's up to the landlord to actually do it. A lot of times we'll do it with the landlord to help them, to try to find them something, because we do care. We care immensely. But if the landlord wants to sell, we have to, we work for them.
In most cases, we try to find places to these tenants. And even though you have situation that they're renting, and we say, hey, why don't you look for your own property? Why don't you buy your property? We help the process, and from being a tenant, we help in the process, and they buy a property from us.
Right. And you know what? A lot of times too, they buy a property from us, or I do have some rentals myself. I usually give them a break. I work with them. I let them out of a lease. It all depends on what your landlord is like. Most important thing is give us a call. It doesn't cost nothing. Now, I got to be honest with you, I'm very slow in sometimes getting back to people because I'm usually out, or I'm on the road, or Orlando's out on the road, until we come in the next morning, till we get our messages, or the office will always, text them to us. But sometimes it's late. I won't call nobody after 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. That's your time to sit home and relax. Orlando, what can we do for people?
The first thing is give us a call. We're going to talk about what is your needs. If you want to sell it, we're going to guide you what step needs to be done to sell the property. If you buy in also, we're going to get you to the right lender to get your pre-approval and find a house for you.
I want to congratulate Orlando. He's a new dad. He has a new daughter. This is his second daughter. And I'm sure maybe you've seen the paper, and hopefully we see a little more of her. What a cutie.
Yeah, it is.
You got the best part of this.
No sleeping on eye, but I'm okay.
Again, I'm Ken Temborski, owner-broker of Aggressive Realty, Orlando, Pena, probably the best salesman in the area. I'd like to thank you very much, and please call us, 570-788-8500.
Thank you. Give us a call today.